In this session, we'll discuss about NCERT Class 12, Chapter 2, Inverse Trigonometric Functions. Here, we'll discuss about the need of inverse trigonometric function in math and inverse of sine function. Okay, so if we take a function f, the inverse of the function f is f inverse. Okay, so the inverse of the function, the given function exists if f is 1 to 1 and f is on to, or either if f is 1 to 1 or on to also. Okay, so then only inverse exists for the function, the given function f. So if we take the function f from x to y such that f of x is equal to y, then we define a unique function g from y to x, such that g of y equal to x. Now this this x belongs to x and y belongs to y, such that the domain of f become the range of g and the range of f become the domain of g. So the function g is the inverse of f. The function g is the inverse of f. So g equal to f inverse. So then g inverse if we take, okay, g equal to f inverse. G inverse is f inverse the whole inverse. So it will become inverse of inverse become the function f itself. So g equal to f inverse, g inverse equal to f. So only when if the function is 1 to 1 and on to, then only the inverse of the function exists. Now we will see about sine function. If we take the graph of the sine function, the graph, the x-axis will take real numbers, any real numbers, okay, 0, pi, minus pi by 2, minus pi, minus 3 pi by 2, minus 5 pi by 2, minus 2 pi, and if we take in the positive side, pi by 2, pi, 3 pi by 2, 2 pi, 5 pi by 2, etc. So the x-axis will take any real numbers. So the graph will pass through any real number. But in the y-axis, the range is in between minus 1 and plus 1. The highest possible, the peak will be positive 1 and the lowest range is negative 1. This is the range in between in the y-axis. So the domain is in x-axis and the range become the y-axis. So the domain of sine function. First we are taking sine function. In this sine function, we are not taking sine inverse. Now we are considering about the sine function only. So here the domain of the sine function will be set of all real numbers, and the range of the sine function will be the range of sine function. Okay, range is in the y-axis. It is from negative 1 to positive 1, including that. So we can take the closed interval minus 1 comma plus 1. So the range will be negative 1 to positive 1. So now if we take the sine function, for example, if we take a point in between 0 to pi by 2, okay, in 0 to pi by 2, in the middle if we take, so what is this? So we have to divide this by 2 again, so that we will get the middle term. So it will become 0 and pi by 2, in between we will get pi by 4, right? So this point may be pi by 4. Pi by 4. If we take in between pi by 2 and pi, okay, so in between this, what we'll get? So pi by 2 plus pi whole thing divided by 2, right? Okay, so 3 pi by 2, so 3 pi by 4 we will get. So this point pi by 4 and at this point 3 pi by 4, okay. So both of these places we will get the same value, okay. So the y-axis value become same at this point as well as this point. So if we take a sine function, the sine function is not 1 to 1, okay. So 1 to 1 means for each value of x, we should get different value, unique value of y. But here for suppose if this is 0.5, so for sine pi by 4 also we will get 0.5, and as well as sine 3 pi by 4 also we will get 0.5, okay. So if we take, this will become the domain and this will become the range, okay. So this also 0.5, this also 0.5. So it is not 1 to 1, okay. So the sine function is not 1 to 1. Why? Because for two different value, two different domain, we are getting same value. So it is not 1 to 1 and on to, so that sine function is in this whole range of sine function, getting the inverse is not possible, okay. The whole range of sine function. If we take x as a set of real numbers from 0 to infinity in the positive side, from 0 to infinity, negative infinity in the negative side, if we take the whole range, the graph, if we take, definitely each and every point the value is not unique. So it is not 1 to 1. So that sine function is not inverse. Getting inverse in the sine function in the whole range is not possible. So what we are doing now, we are taking the sine function, but we are taking one particular range from one point to another point. So if we take like that, definitely getting the inverse is possible.